In this video, we go over what to expect in the Sacramento real estate market for 2025. If you're thinking about making the move to Sacramento, guys, this is the video for you. We're going to go over interest rates, we're going to go over inventory, we're going to go over demand, new homes, and everything that should be on your radar if you plan on moving to Sacramento in 2025. Let's get going on this video, and also let us know down below what are your main concerns in the Sacramento real estate market for 2025, because we definitely want to know. Let's get going. Okay, so 2024 has been crazy here in Sacramento, real estate rates and everything too. So let's talk a little bit about it. Right now, we're going to end probably this December, probably high sixes. What do you expect as far as rates go, as far as the chatter in the market, as far as next year?
It seems like, all the big figureheads that follow all this stuff and report on it, they've all kind of changed their forecast. For a long time, everybody was forecasting rates to be in the fives, low fives by the end of the year. That whole narrative has changed to where, they're expecting us to remain in the sixes throughout not only 2025, but possibly 26, although, it's kind of too far out. I personally think that rates are going to stay where they're at for the time being because of where inflation is at and where employment's at. If you just base it off of just those fundamentals, and inflation is the enemy of long-term debt, interest rates, we don't have a solution in sight. And with the Fed expected this week to either only do a quarter point cut and then be done, or maybe not even cut anymore and be done, we're not going to get any, relief from the Fed dropping their rate by 3% or 4% or something like that. So that's what I've been seeing. And that's kind of how I feel about, the market in terms of rates. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's the thing. And also for you guys out there, here's kind of how it translates. Really just easy, right? If the economy is doing fantastic, that just means, or the numbers show, or the reports, whether they're true or not true, show that the economy is doing great, interest rates go up high. Now, if the economy is looking bad, for example, like job numbers are low, or just basically any economic indicators are pointing downwards, that's when rates go down, which is kind of weird, right? And doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because when the economy is going bad, a lot of people can't really buy houses and stuff like this, but that's when you normally see the lower rates. So for a lot of you people out there who are watching the news and watching these programs and going, hey, I wonder how this is going to affect interest rates, for the most part, that's an easy way to kind of factor it in. If numbers look great, interest rates are going up. If numbers look bad, interest rates are going down. And that's basically the easiest way to basically kind of translate this rate stuff. Now, for me, I think there's got to be a little bit, the jobs report numbers were changing left and right, which were kind of factors into 2024. I think the thing in 2025, it could continue, right? I think we could maybe see some pockets in 2025 that are in the low sixes. You might get lucky. You never know. I mean, we got a whole new, what's called political vibe happening in 2025. So you could maybe see pockets where we're in the fives, but it might not happen, right? So I'm with Aaron. That's what I've been hearing left and right. Sixes, if you're lucky, we might be in the low sixes for a certain amount of time, but that's kind of what it looks like. So for me, I kind of, I don't like to guess too much about that stuff, because man, I've been getting it wrong left and right. So I would just say the main thing that Aaron and I always say is time your life, don't time the market. Don't get caught up into like real estate's like Bitcoin. Don't do that to yourself. It's going to stress you out, freak you out. Make sure your job's good, make sure you got money in the bank. And if the time is right, you're going to know. And then, you just kind of get out there and deal with it. And that's kind of what I would tell to people out there. But that's kind of rates in a nutshell. Like I said, Aaron's not going to be 100. I'm not going to be 100, because honestly, we don't know what the numbers look like until they come out. Now, as far as I look at it, one of the big things also in this market that we had in 2024 in Sacramento specifically was inventory was not great, right? As far as the resale stuff, a lot of the stuff was getting listed, high price. A lot of people at 2.75s, they were like, sell it for $1 million even if it's worth $900,000, and they were just sitting there. What do you think as far as inventory? Do you think like those 2.75ers are going to be pushed a little bit to sell maybe in 2025?
I think that the overwhelming majority of people are going to basically, quote unquote, like be trapped, if you will, because even if you can afford it, just because you can afford something doesn't mean that it's a good decision. And when you look at the numbers, a lot of times it's like, man, I don't want that house that bad. I mean, you would be looking at like tripling or quadrupling your monthly housing expense, most likely. I think a lot of people are going to stay put, and instead they're going to take out home equity lines of credit or second mortgages, which I can help with, by the way. But they're going to take out loans like that and do big old home improvement projects and just kind of make their home better, versus spending a whole bunch more money. I mean, I know a ton of people that would love to move, and they can probably afford to do it. But when you try and like just make logic of everything, it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, think about it. You got a pretty sweet setup. I mean, you bought your house slightly after rates had started to climb, but I mean, comparative to where the market is now, you got a smoking deal that you'd never be able to touch.
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, I look at it this way. It's like we are a kind of a consumer society where we see stuff on Amazon, we want it now. And I think a lot of people have been on the sidelines kind of waiting. But the smart move, of course, is to sit back, enjoy your 2.75 and just kind of like hang out in your house. It's building like equity, you're growing, it's just, that's a smart move. The problem is a lot of people, like want what they want and want it now. And you're going to see a lot of those people that are just like frustrated and said, I waited 2024 for rates to get better. They didn't get better. I want what I want and I'm going to jump in. And I think that what you're going to see now is I think inventory is going to get a little bit better because I think we're going to see, the 3Ds, like I always say, death, divorce, and departing the state. I think you're going to see a bunch more of those happen in 2025. But I think a lot of people are probably going to just get used to the 6%, 6% of 6 point something. And eventually they're just going to say like, gosh, I'm sick of what I want, and I'm going to jump in and do it. Is it the smart move? My opinion, not really. I mean, like, I think the smart move is like when you have a new kid, if you're moving school districts, if you're moving in an area for a job, I mean, but we are a consumer, like an Amazon driven society where we see something and we go to Costco and we see something and we're like, do I really need it? I don't know if I need it, but do I want it? And so those are the buyers I think we're going to see probably in 2025. I don't think inventory is going to get that much better. We are going to get more inventory on the market. I don't want to spook people out too much, but I don't think it's going to be crazy where, all these people at 2.75s are going to, say, hey, I'm going to sell my house right now. I think we are going to be pushing the envelope on that. I think for me, like I say, you mentioned my deal, your deal as well too. I'm not looking to go anywhere. Do I see with my eyes all big some houses that I go, oh, that'd be nice? Yeah, but at the same time, I think of the payment. I think of how much more it would be, how much of a hassle also, because, got to clean the house and everything too. So I think it is going to be a hard market to transition to a 6 market. I hope it gets better, but I don't know. I still think those 2.75ers are going to just wait it out and say, this is a smart move to stay put. And I think with this new kind of change in politics and everything too, people still feel a little uneasy for what's going to happen. And I think people might be just holding out a little bit too. I don't know. It's going to be a crazy 2025. I've already talked to a few people that are saying, hey, when someone else gets, in office, everything's going to get better for us and we're good. And, before you count those, what's called the chickens before they hatch, I would just wait it out and figure out if that stuff is actually going to, happen, And I don't know, we don't talk politics on this channel, but it is going to be probably impactful for next year, 100%. Now let's switch gears and talk new homes. I mean, that's a huge thing in Sacramento, new homes. I know at least maybe like 15 communities are coming out additionally in the Sacramento area, Placer, Yolo, and everything too. I know that more builders are coming into the area and making strong forces like Century and Shea. What do you think as far as the new homes comparatively towards other areas in California or in nationwide?
You got Elk Grove to the south, you got all the West Sacramento, all that stuff to the west, and then, West Roseville and all that stuff, to the north. So there's a lot of room for them. But when it comes to the builders, they learned a huge lesson in the 2008 crash when they just lost their shorts, and then they stopped building for almost 10 years, which is why, part of why we have such a huge inventory problem. But what they've learned is like, it's way more profitable to be in the sweet spot. So they're not like sitting in the boardroom saying like, hey, how do we crank out as many widgets as possible? Instead, they're like, hey, how do we crank out an optimal amount of widgets where we make the most money? And so when you look at the most recent data on new start permits and the housing starts, builders are actually, so far at least, poised to start the year with less new home building than they did this year. Because of course, it's they're playing that game of maximizing profit per house essentially, and they've really gotten good at it. And the sucky thing about all of that, not very profitable for builders to build like entry level, first time home buyer houses,
Yeah.
little like 1,200 square foot 3-2 or, something like that. All they're focused on like the money makers, which obviously that increases the barrier to entry. And then of course, interest rates, play a role with that. But one of the benefits of the builder is that they're also the seller, and so they can bake into the sales price of the house concessions, and that's essentially how they've been able to offer lower interest rates than what the market has to bear. So I would expect, with interest rates remaining high, that builders are going to pull out all the gimmicks and all the the various things to draw buyers in. So I do think that there'll be some opportunities there. What do you think about builder incentives and how that's going to play out?
I think they'll be pretty good, but I don't think they'll be as good as they were towards the end of this year. I think builders learned something really important. They're figuring out the cycles, right? A lot of the winter building, they're probably going to lay off on. And a lot of the beginning of the year building, they're also going to slow, like you said too. They're learning, right? They're adapting. They're becoming more efficient, right? What you noticed like 4 years ago was you can go into a Taylor Morrison and you could basically say, I want this lot, I want this house, I want this plan, I want everything, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to go to the design studio. I'm going to pick out everything I want in the house, boom. They don't have that much anymore. These houses are already selected. You have some option choices, but not to the extent like you had maybe 4 years ago. They're kind of saying, all right, look, we're going to put out the, good interior design. We're going to put these packages together. These are the packages we're rolling out. So it's not really like it was before, where you could go to the design center at Taylor Morrison and basically sit there and pick out exactly what you wanted and all that stuff too. They're like, you got the gray package. You're good. Now you do have a choice where you can select these 5 different things if you want to. So they're getting more efficient. They're like, look, we want to make sure these houses are going and they're going to sell and that they can move and that we can keep going. And so they're becoming more efficient, which is like, it's customers are losing their customability on the houses. They can't customize the way they were before. But on the other part of it, you're seeing houses that are already a lot sooner. Taylor used to be like 8 months. Now you can get one like in 4 months. Why? Oh, it's already being built. You got like 4 months, you're good to go. And so there's only a few builders that are allowing you to customize the way you want to, like a Tim Lewis, what is it, like Toll Brothers, and certain kind of like of the $1 million plus builders. But what you're noticing now is, and this is around across the board, like D.R. Horton, Meritage, like Taylor, like Woodside, you walk in, they're like, we got a plan 3. It's ready to go. It's got the brown cabinets, tile floors, this and this and this. If you want it, great. And the clients are like, when's it going to be ready? And they're expecting like 6 months. They'll be like, it'll be ready in 3 weeks. Whoa. So they're getting efficient. And I think through their efficiencies, you're going to see less incentives, higher price points, and more closed deals in the new homes. And I think they're going to be very smart about what they put out. And they're going to have a little bit more of an inkling of what's going to sell and what's not going to sell. And I think they're just learning and growing. And I think our market, we're very much lucky to have the new homes because a lot of markets don't have it. And they're adding to. One of the things that I love about Sacramento is that most markets now are stalled, right? Most markets are on the bad list where they're like, don't move here. We are always on the good list because the new homes are helping us kind of move to the level of going, new home sales, everything going. And it's a little deceptive because I see some appraisers out there who are basically throwing these stats out there and they're not considering how many new home sales are being done, how many starts. I mean, that's such an important piece to our market, and that's not being factored in. And for me, it's a very much like if you look at the stats based on resale, we're hurting. If you add in all the new home stuff, we're thriving. So it's an interesting market, as far as we go. And then also segueing from new homes to the status, like Sacramento is getting really a second look, a little bit of a spotlight. We got the A's
Mhm.
coming in. People are looking at Sacramento and they're not poo-pooing Sacramento as much, and they're going like, whoa, okay, all this growth. I'm seeing other areas stall and you guys are just going. What do you think about this new spotlight? What do you think that that's going to do to us for 2025?
I think it's going to fuel a lot of growth. If the A's come in, that brings a lot of jobs. And then you have the trickle down economic effect of, all those places, people go to restaurants and use dry cleaners and buy gas and blah, blah, blah. And so all of that trickles into our economy. So I think it, from an economic standpoint is going to be awesome. From the real estate side of things, I think if you already own a home, it's going to be great for you because there's going to be a lot of demand and demand drives up prices. But if you're looking to buy a house and get into the market, then I, even with inventory ticking up a little bit, we're so far away from being like what we would define as a buyer's market. The new home market, the builders dominate, and just like in the resale, the sellers dominate. So it's being the buyer, is never the winning, side, no matter what you're doing. That's just part of how it works with buying a house in California, basically. But I don't think that you can really make a quote unquote like bad move by buying something in our area, and then all of a sudden we're in the scenario where like the Ford manufacturing plant got shut down and the whole town dies, and all of a sudden you've lost your rear end on the house. We've got such a diverse economy. The size that we're getting to, we're kind of in this like economic sweet spot where I think we're going to get a lot more investment coming in.
I can see that. I mean, I look at it this way too. I think affordability, if people look at Sacramento, and affordability is all relative, but I think Sacramento is going to lose that moniker of affordable areas in California. I think that's going to go to places like Linda, Plumas Lake, Wheatland, and everything too. And I think our area is going to be a little bit like I'm seeing. Normally, we were seeing some 400s last year. Now those are hard to come by, especially like new homes. 500s is kind of slim as well too. I mean, West Roseville, I think the highest or the lowest price house is like 580. So it's just like we're growing, we're advancing. I mean, every area's got their new thing, right? West Roseville, you got the Costco's coming in, you got the schools going over there. What do you got? You got like in Folsom, you got the new like UC Davis Medical like campus over there. You have like the new sports center. You got 3 more schools coming in by 2032. Then all of a sudden you have that one project that's coming in Rancho. I think this big kind of eco work live project that's coming into Rancho. Then you got Elk Grove, you got the train station. Then you got West Sacramento that's going to boom because of the A's. We've got so many different spots and so many things going that it's hard to stop, right? I mean, and like you were mentioning, as far as jobs go, everyone's freaking out about Intel. Probably going to be called Qualcomm in fairly soon, but like we still got good tech. We still got Micron, HP, Oracle. What do we got? We got Apple, we got Amazon. I know I'm missing out on a few companies. We got state jobs like crazy. And then our medical is just booming out of control. We have more nurses and doctors moving in here. And all these schools that we're putting in, we got more teachers coming in. We got more infrastructure jobs. And because of all the building that's happening here in the Sacramento area, you also have jobs for people who do contracting, like, cement laying, everything too. So we're really, really thriving in 2024. But I think we're going to hit 5th gear probably in 2025, and it's going to ride us into 2030 because I just don't see Sacramento slowing down. I always tell people the economy is always tied into jobs, and because our job diversity is so good, because we got all those state jobs, that if we are hitting into a recession, if we are in recession, whatnot, the jobs that we got in Sacramento if you look at it based on other areas in the United States, like I love our chances. I love our location. I love the spotlight that Sacramento has right now with the A's coming in. All signs for me as a homeowner, as someone, and if you guys are watching people buying into this market, this is as far as a good bet for 2025. I don't know if it gets better than Sacramento, the Sacramento area, if you're looking for California or if you're looking anywhere in the United States. What do you think?
Yeah, I was kind of alluding to that earlier. I mean, there's really, the job market is so diverse. I'm not concerned about, that becoming a problem with enough layoffs, because you got to realize that in order for home prices to like actually start dropping, we need like 5, 6, 7 months of inventory, maybe even more than that, 9 months of inventory. And we're at like 1 to 2 months everywhere. Some markets are even less than a month still. So it's just, that's not a concern that I personally have as a homeowner, or if I were buying a house, I wouldn't be concerned about that. Your main concern, in my opinion, is, do you, just like Mark and I always talk about, is like, do you feel like you're timing your life right? Is your job sound? You're good financially, all that stuff. Okay, can you afford it based off of where rates are today? If rates never come down, if we just are at sixes for the rest of our lives, are you okay with that? And if the answer is, yes, then like rock and roll, man. And if it's not, then it probably wouldn't make sense, even if, rates, came down a little bit, or if, the scenario was slightly different, because your life timing isn't right now. So, um, I don't think though that, it's, if we were talking, I always like to beat up Winnemucca, Nevada, but I mean, if we were some town out in the middle of nowhere with no economy, all that stuff, it would be a completely different story. But we've got so many irons in the fire out here that it's going to be hard to mess this one up.
Okay, guys, hopefully enjoyed this video on the Sacramento real estate market predictions for 2025. But we want to know what you think about the Sacramento real estate market for 2025. Is it going to be a year for buyers, sellers? Is it going to be a good market, or is it going to be a bad market? Let us know in the comments below. Now, we have a playlist right over there of some great neighborhoods in the Sacramento area that you definitely need to check out. And don't forget to join our live show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Now, guys, if you're thinking about buying, or if you're thinking about selling in the Sacramento area, we would love to be your team. Or if you just have questions about moving to Sacramento, we're here for you. Until the next video, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one.